The Chancellor's spring statement left households and businesses across Luton South to fend for themselves in the middle of a cost of living crisis, as we're set to see the biggest drop in incomes on record this year. The Office for Budget Responsibility confirmed that real household disposable income will fall over the next 2 years, leading to the biggest fall in living standards in any single financial year since ONS records began in 1956-57. And now Britain is facing the highest tax burden in 70 years, with the Chancellor confirming £24 billion in tax rises this year. For every £6 the Chancellor has taken in tax since becoming Chancellor, he's just given back £1 today. This cuts to the heart of the Conservatives' mismanagement of the economy, structured on low investment, low pay and low growth. And it also shows their total disregard for the hardship that my constituents in Luton South are facing. And whether it's that people can't afford the soaring heating bills, the petrol at the pump or rising food prices, it's our communities that are suffering right now. This bill represents just one aspect of the Chancellor's sleight-of-hand approach to managing public finances, and it's based more on feathering the nest of his own popularity, or dare I say it, his Instagram account, than it is on building an economy based on high growth, high productivity and higher redistribution. So while increasing the national insurance contributions threshold will provide some respite, it will deliver twice as much benefit to the top 50%, the top half of earners, than to those in the lower half. And it can't be considered in isolation. The Chancellor announced in the 2021 autumn budget that the rates of national insurance contributions will rise from 12% to 13.25%. And overall, that tax increase is regressive. Earners of over £100,000 a year could pay up proportionately less, and even notwithstanding the threshold change, it will be about 13.5% on most earnings up to £50,000, but just 3.25% on any income above that threshold. So, for all the references earlier in this debate on everyone should pay their fair share, I'm not sure if that is the case. The Chancellor I was going to say, could the Chancellor actually point to any other major economy putting up taxes this April on working people? And the spring statement policies are poorly targeted and not grounded in fairness. They're helping the wealthiest households 4 times more than the poorest, according to the IPPR's response. And alongside the lack of support in the spring statement, wages are forecast to fall in value by 2% this year, the equivalent to a real terms cut of £552. It's clear whose side the Conservative government are on, and we've heard much about a parallel universe. It's certainly not the side of pensioners or families on universal credit and the children living in poverty in Luton South who are facing the choice of heating or eating. And I wish the member for South Dorset was still in the chamber. I listened intently to his comments around freedom. But if you can't afford to heat your home or feed your kids, you do not have much freedom. So for those on the very lowest incomes, there is nothing. Nothing for those unable to work or who are unemployed. And the reforms increase a greater level of tax on almost all workers. The government's negligence will also lead to increased fuel poverty. And if members on the other side of the House try to point again to the Household Support Fund, a colleague earlier said to me that for all those households, all those people on under the income threshold, it would be the equivalent of 6p a day. One more time.
Obviously, this is the second tranche of the Household Support Fund. The first Household Support Fund, £500 million, announced last year. Luton got £1.83 million in that. I'm sure that was helpful to her constituents, and they'll get a further share of this. Does she welcome that?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'm really pleased that you know about that amount of figure. I wonder if you'd also, if the honourable member was able to remember that figure, because I hope he would also be able to remind the House of the over £100 million that's been taken away from Luton Council over a decade of Tory austerity, which is why so many of the families in my constituency are living in poverty and in fuel poverty. I'm going to make some progress, thank you. If members on the other House point to the Household Support Fund, as we've just mentioned, it's also simply a short-term solution. And I declare an interest as a Vice President of the Local Government Association, and it has warned that we need an effective long-term solution to support the most vulnerable. Points were raised earlier by the Chair of the Levelling Up Select Committee, and I would just add that it's 60 pence in every pound has taken away from local authorities over 10 years of Tory austerity. And we need to see much more stability and certainty for local authorities if we are going to see an impact. Ultimately, Luton South deserves a government that will help them through the cost of living crisis with a plan to drive growth and living standards. And this isn't what the Conservative Party Spring Statement offers, but it is what a Labour government will. Thank you, Madam Speaker.